What's up, baby? Today's show is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University. Yeah, we talking about proper preparation. We're talking about trying to be better at life. How can we improve, right? Whether we're talking about just as an individual, how do we improve if we're talking about in the job space? I mean, whether we're talking about just all the different ways to be prepared for the next step, for that next task. Southern New Hampshire University and some of these online degree programs that they are offering. Come on, baby. You can't beat this. And they have super competitive low tuition rates that are, like I said, going to prepare you for whatever your next steps might be as it pertains to your professional career. It's not too late. I mean, shoot, what you waiting on? I mean, you're watching me, but what you waiting on? Come on, man. You see the link right there, right? snhu.edu/Arthur Moats. Tap in and go out here and get a chance to prepare yourself for greatness. But now it's time for regularly scheduled programming. So, man, in terms of first round draft picks, man, first round options, man, I figured it's not, set in stone that we're going to go wide receiver. There is a scenario where we could definitely go D line heading into this draft in the first round. So to me, man, I was thinking to myself, well, what type of D-line would we be looking for? And more importantly, why do we potentially want to go D-line early? All right. So to me, man, when I'm thinking of our run defense late in the year, think about how, we weren't the best team in the trenches late in the year. I look at some of the interior parts and I'm like, man, this guy's getting, too much movement. And when it's a double team, that's one thing. I went back and I watched that Baltimore Ravens wild card game and I was like, hold on, bro. Some of the movement that was taking place, some of the people that was getting blocked, I'm like, yo, that's not how that is supposed to look. You got to have more fight than that. And when that is the case, you start to ask yourself, okay, well, what about this body type? What about this particular player? Could this guy come in here and, make that look different? Because I think if that looks different, this linebacker looks different, or this safety looks different in the sense of how they're playing this particular play. But because of what took place in front, in terms of that interior D-line part, it kind of put them in a little bit of a bind. So it had me thinking like, all right, well, maybe there's a scenario where you go, D-line in the first round. So from there, man, a couple of the names, got 5 guys, man, that I think are more realistic to me in terms of that first round, potentially. But at least guys that we should be having on our radar. All right. To me, man, the first dude is Mason Graham, interior D lineman he was played at Michigan. To me, man, explosive as heck. Could play 3 technique or the 5 technique. So you're talking about a guy that could play where Cam plays in base, Cam or Larry Ogunjobi's role in base. But then also when you go to the sub package ball, you don't have to take him off the field. He can still go out there and rush the passer, man. Think he's really disruptive versus the pass. I love how he emphasizes his hand usage. That's the thing that really stood out to me about him. Super high motor along with his skill and athleticism. The dude flips his hips. The guy is very, very violent with his hands. Like you can tell, he understands what he's trying to get accomplished every time he's rushing, every time he's taking a snap. He's not just playing just to play. And that's what you want to see. That to me is letting me know that he is thinking the game through along with the athleticism and the physical traits that he currently has. Super compact, muscular frame, to me looks like a Tyson Alualu type. Like that's who he reminds me of. Young Tyson Alualu, like fresh out of Cal Tyson Alualu. That's what I see when I see Mason Graham. Kenneth Grant, on that one. That's the other Michigan tackle. I think he is just as impressive, but in a very different way. This is like the big body dude, man. Like true one technique, nose technique will destroy your center. Like that's what if you don't have 4 hands on him, meaning the center and guard, he is making them dudes hurt. He's making them dudes look bad. You talk about nose tackle and specifically nose tackle because Mason Graham isn't a nose to me. He's more of a 3 technique or a 5 technique. I look at that as the Larry Ogunjobi, DeMarvin Leal types, right? The Isaiah Loudermilk types. Kenneth Grant, that's, man, we got Keanu Benton playing some of this nose, but we've also had Montravius Adams playing the nose. Kenneth Grant is a mammoth of a man, and I think he's extremely athletic for his size. You talk about his short area quickness, his burst, and the ability to change directions for a guy that big. It's like, yo, That's impressive, man. That's very impressive. Along with his hand usage, man, he controls a lot of blockers, and it makes it hard to run the football against a guy like him. I'm in here, I'm thinking, I'm like, bro, could you imagine what that looks like with him at the nose, Bitten at the 5, Cam Hayward at the 5? You're like, oh, TJ over here, Highsmith over there, oh. Then you go to the sub package ball, and I'm rotating between Cam, Benton, and Grant. I'm like, yo, we physical. We got big size in there, man. So I do like that about him. I think he has very, very heavy hands, man. You watch him when he touches, boom, boom. Like, he's grabbing dudes. He's controlling dudes, man. And the thing that's crazy about him, we talk about some of these guys as, all right, he'll routinely beat a single block, but versus the double, Kenneth Grant be just destroying the double team like it's nothing. You be like, yo, that's just double team. That don't matter, man. Y'all not about to stop this dude at all. So when I think of that, along with the motor that he has for his size, I'm like, yeah, that would be a massive upgrade to the interior part of our D-line, which would then in turn be a big upgrade for guys like Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, and Landon Roberts. I'm watching them in that Ravens game, and they're making plays, but I'm looking at how they have to get to the ball carrier because of some of the stuff that's taking place in front of them. And I'm saying to myself, man, what if we have a little bit better penetration up front? What if we're controlling the line of scrimmage and we're not getting pushed back, 2-3 yards sometimes, and just finishing in some bad body position? All right. You don't want to finish in certain body position types. All right. But when I look at that, I'm like, yo, a Kenneth Grant type could be a big upgrade in that space, specifically at the nose tackle spot. Next guy, Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State. Now, I like this dude, man. Gives me some Cam Hayward vibes, low key, man, because he's that rangy 3-5 technique. Strong. I think he's strong. Now, he's not Kenneth Grant strong, but I think he's definitely strong enough. You watch him versus the double team. He handles that versus the run. Like, it's never an issue with him. But to me, the thing that stands out is his pass rush ability. I think that he has that high-end interior pass rush potential. When you're watching him get off the ball, you watch how he uses his hands for the swim move. He has a nice little bit of a shake, stutter, you know what I mean? So he has all those little type of things that help him out. And he's a dude that gets to the ball. You cut that tape on, man, the motor shows. Sometimes he wins more because of that than just his skill. And I'm like, yo, this gives me the Cam Hayward vibes, man, in terms of that dude that is skilled, but you can see where he has a ton of room to grow because of, just his athleticism and his frame. But at the same time, it's like, yo, this guy's effort. I mean, how many times we seen Cam Hayward 30, 40 yards downfield making a play, and it's like, yo, that's pretty dope. It sucks that it had to be made, but it's dope that Cam made that play. That's the same type of energy I kind of get from Tyleik Williams as well, man. So shout out to him on that one, though. All right. Next up, another guy, like I said, man, that I'm kind of targeting, like I said, early on in that draft in terms of the D-line part, interior D-line, just specifically the interior D-line. TJ Sanders, South Carolina. Yep. Like TJ Sanders, man, long frame interior D lineman. He plays all up and down the D line as well, though. Playing that 1 technique, play the 3 technique or the 5. So you're talking about, man, how do I pair him with Cam and Keanu? Or can I pair him with, if Larry Yoga is back, then it's Larry, TJ, Cam. You know what I mean? Like, what does all that look like? TJ Sanders gives you that type of flexibility. You could play him up and down that D-line, and you could play him in base or sub package, so you don't feel like you have to take him off the field. To me, I think he's the best pass rusher out of any of these D linemen that I've talked about. Mason Graham, I like his pass rush skill and production, but I think TJ Sanders' frame with his gifts as well, I think just puts him in a little bit of a separate class of potential rushers when you're talking about their game transitioning up to this game, up to the NFL level. I definitely think TJ Sanders has that. So I do like that about him. The other thing that I would say that TJ Sanders does a good job of is slipping blocks, man. You watch him versus the run. We've seen TJ Watt do this, right? Blocks coming at him, whoop, dip under, make a tackle, right? Oh, it's coming over here. Oh, just slip through. All right, go inside, make a play. TJ Sanders does that as well, man. And like I said, he does it, like I said, from that interior D-line spot where you don't see a ton of that traditionally. But he does have a nice feel for that. And I think that when you're watching him in run stunts, in terms of the TEs, the tackle games, loop arounds and stuff like that, to me, TJ Sanders does all of that at a very high level, both in the run game and versus the pass. So definitely one of those guys that, to me, I'm intrigued with. And I think he has very, very long arms too, man. But I do got some concerns with just his pad level. And that's some of the issues when you talk about some of these bigger body D tackles. They play high. And at this level, man, if you don't control that pad level and become more consistent keeping it down, yes, you will have a difficult time trying to be productive and just trying to find that consistency at the position. But I do like TJ Sanders. Like I said, he's definitely somebody that's intriguing to me. The last guy I'm gonna talk about, and I talked about him a little bit earlier, was Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, right? With Walter, a little bit undersized, but like I said, could play the 1, the 3, or the 5, a true tweener. I think he's one of those guys that if you're a 4-3 team, you might draft him and play him at DN. I could definitely see that, but at the same time, I can see if you're a 3-4 team like us, playing him at that 5 technique like Cam Hayward, and him playing well there. I don't think he's a full-time nose tackle. I don't think he's a full-time one technique. I think you gotta, give him some ability to use his athleticism and play in space. But I love his urgency. Like, you talk about a guy that's going to get to the ball. You talk about a guy that you might block him. It doesn't matter. He is not going to stop. That is Walter Nolan, man. 1,000%. Like I said earlier, he can improve on his hand usage. I definitely think that, he's not the most athletic for his size. But in terms of, if I'm looking to replace a Larry Ogunjobi, if I'm looking to replace or move on from a DeMarvin Leal, if I'm looking to replace the production or move on from a Isaiah Loudermilk, I do think Walter Nolan is one of those guys you would consider because of his skill set, because of the way that, like I said, he attacks. And like I said, just how hard he plays, man. It's not always perfect with him. And I think he could be a lot better with his hand use. I think you get him around the right coaching, that could help him develop. And I mean, if he's in the room with a Cam Hayward type, man, for certain, he is going to improve. He is going to become more of a technician. But that's the part for me where I'm just like, I like that dude a little bit, man. So those are like I said, the D linemen that I kind of think that, if we're going to do D line in the first round, right? Not saying that we will, because obviously we still got to talk wide receiver some more. That's definitely something that I'm still open to taking in the first round if we don't get that in free agency or in the trade. Like you said, that Cooper Kupp situation is sitting out there. But if we're not going to take that approach, then yeah, D-line still becomes a part of that conversation. I think it will be until we get a little bit more clarity, especially at that quarterback spot, right? Because obviously, apparently with the Jay Glazer report, yeah, neither one of them dudes probably be back. So if that's the case, then yeah, more than likely you're going to be trying to refill this whole thing, and you're not going to do it all in free agency, so you probably can go draft something. That changed the whole vibe of what we're looking to do in that draft as it pertains to D-line. So, like I said, we'll be interested, man, as we continue to follow it. But hopefully y'all enjoying it. And if y'all are, hit that like button one time for the culture and subscribe if you are new to the channel.